So, do you think literature from the past is important for young people? Um, well, next question. That's exactly what you don't want to do if you get a very hard question in the IELTS speaking test. Hey guys, it's Shane here, and in this video, I'm going to show you 5 methods for answering hard questions, even if you have no idea what to say. Now, these methods come straight from our Part 3 Speaking Questions with Band 7 Plus Answers ebook, which will show you how to give high-scoring answers. The link is in the description below. All right, the first thing you can do is just take a moment to think. It's perfectly natural and normal to stop and think about something. In conversation, when people are talking, they often have to stop and think, especially if they are answering difficult questions which require a bit of thought. But when I say take a moment to think, I mean 1 or 2 seconds. If it's any longer than that, it may look a bit weird and a bit unnatural because it's not natural to just sit there and say nothing. And if you do need a bit more time, you need to say something. So here are some phrases that you can use. The first one is, "That's an interesting question. Let me think about it for a moment." But only use this when it's natural. For example, if the examiner asks you, "What's your name?" and you say, "That's an interesting question," well, that might be a bit weird and also a bit funny. Here's the second one. "I haven't thought about this before, but I'll try to explain my opinion." And finally, "That's quite a tricky one. I'm not really sure, but if I had to say anything, I'd say dirt, dirt, dirt." And then after you finish each one of these phrases, you start speaking. So let's pretend the examiner asks you, "Do you think literature from the past is important for young people?" Well, you could say, "That's a tricky one. I'm not really sure, but if I had to say anything, I'd say da 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 da," and then you say something. Let's look at method number 2 now. Simplify the question. Sometimes you might get a really broad question. That means there are many different ways to answer it and many different things to talk about because the question doesn't just focus on one specific thing. So for example, take the question, "What role does art play in society?" Well, look at the word society. That's a very big topic. So let's break it down. Society can include things like public spaces, education, architecture, entertainment, and museums. But for me, when I think about art and all of these things, I think about education. So that's what I would talk about. And I would only talk about education. I would not talk about all of the other topics you can see on the screen. This would make my answer very simple and very easy to follow. So here's an example. Well, art has a huge effect on many different parts of society, but one really important area is education. Schools often include art in their curriculum because it helps students develop their and then you continue your answer. Let's move on now to have a look at method 3, which is follow a structure. Sometimes you might get a question and you have a lot of ideas, but you just don't know how to structure them. You don't know how to express your ideas in a very logical and easy to understand way. Well, one of the best things you can do in this situation is follow a simple structure. So let's pretend you get a question about your opinion. Well, you could use this very simple structure. Number 1, give your opinion. You say what you think. Number 2, give a main idea. And number 3, support that idea and give more information. So let's have a quick look at a question with an answer which follows this formula or this structure. Let's pretend the examiner says, "Do you think all school children should have to do some type of sport?" Well, this question is asking you for your opinion. So you can use the structure which is on the left-hand side. "Yes, I firmly believe that sport should be a mandatory subject for all children." So this is your opinion. You're saying, "Yes, I think that, Then we give a main idea. "These days, more and more children are living sedentary lifestyles and not getting the recommended amount of daily movement. This is our main idea. This is our reason why we have our opinion." And then finally, we need to give more information. This is leading to very young children becoming overweight and sometimes even having chronic disease. So we could stop there, but I think that's a little bit short for a part 3 answer. So you should probably add one more piece of support, or you could even give one more main idea. And as you can see, this structure is very simple, but it works very well because it makes it very easy for you to explain your ideas, and it makes it easy for the examiner to understand your ideas. And this is going to improve your fluency and coherence band. Method number 4, use hypotheticals. Sometimes you might get a question that you've never thought about before and you have no idea how to answer it. So in this situation, when something like this happens, you can make up or create a situation that is not real to help you to explain your ideas. This is called using a hypothetical. So let's pretend that you get this question right here. How would life change if people only worked 3 days a week? And you really don't know what to say. Well, you could create that situation and pretend you're in that situation and then think about what would happen in that situation. So here is an example answer. If people only worked 3 days a week, I think at first everyone would love it because they'd have so much more free time. So this is a hypothetical. We're saying that at first people would probably love it. They'd enjoy it. Then we continue. We can focus on one specific thing like families. Maybe families would spend more time together and people would focus on hobbies instead of just working all the time. But honestly, I think companies might struggle because productivity would drop and businesses might have to raise prices or cut salaries to make up for lost workdays. So this is a great way to answer a question you're not sure about. Just create a situation in your head and think about what would happen in that situation, and then you can focus on different parts. So in this example, we focused on families, and at the end, we talked about companies. Method number 5, talk about what other people might say. Let's pretend you get a question about a topic that you've heard about in the news or on social media, but you don't have much personal knowledge of it yourself. Well, in this situation, you can talk about what other people might say and talk about what you've heard about this topic. So a great example of this is if you get a topic about climate change and you don't know much about the topic. Well, you could just say what you've heard and then add your own opinion to it. So for example, let's pretend you get this question right here. Do you think climate change is a big problem? You could start by saying, well, I'm not really sure about this topic because I haven't done any in-depth research, but I know that many experts are quite concerned about it and think climate change is getting worse. So we're talking about what experts think. We're not saying our own personal opinion because remember, we don't know the answer. We're just saying what we have heard. And then after this, you can continue. So just the other day, I saw this news story which was talking about ... And then after that, you would say what you saw and then give your own opinion on that topic. So you could talk about many things. You could talk about if it's true. You could talk about what government should do. You could talk about what people can do. Just give your opinion on that topic or on that issue. Method 6. Be honest and have a guess. We're all humans and nobody knows everything and nobody knows how to answer every single question. So if you do get a question that you know nothing about, you can simply be honest and say that you know nothing about that topic and then give your opinion and take a guess. So here are some phrases that you can use in this type of situation. The first one is, to be honest, I don't know much about this topic, but I'd imagine that ... and then you continue speaking. The next one, I'm not very familiar with this subject, but if I think about it logically, I'd say that ... Next one, I don't have much knowledge about this, but if I had to guess, I'd say ... Remember, the examiner is not checking how much you know about the world. The examiner is checking at how well you can express yourself in English in all different situations. So don't stress if you don't know too much about the question and you don't know how to answer the question. So now you might be thinking, well, I know lots of techniques and I know lots of methods, but which one should I use? Well, the answer is you can use a combination of all of them. So for example, if you get a difficult question and you don't know what to say, well, you can start by taking a moment to think about it. You can say something like, well, that's a difficult question. I haven't really thought about that before, but, and then you can follow a structure. So if it's an opinion question, you could follow that structure we looked at earlier in the video. But honestly, the best way to improve quickly is to see real IELTS questions and real Band 7+ answers, so you can understand exactly what a high-scoring answer looks like. That's exactly why I put together my Part 3 Speaking Questions with Band 7+ Answers ebook. It's full of tough questions and real high-scoring responses, so you can see exactly how to answer like a Band 7+ candidate. If you're serious about improving your IELTS speaking, click the link in the description below. Now, if you want even more IELTS speaking videos, check out this lesson right here, and I'll see you next time, and good luck with your studies.